from Lucid in that first series, something we're referencing is Oner's Xin performance. You'll remember that massive highlight play he made. And to be honest, Xin Zhao's not even the top priority jungle anymore. So the fact that he's so good on that pick, and then there's still Pantheon, there's still Wukong, so many things you have to consider. Katie opening with the Nico ban, which, you know, perfectly fine ban, but also feels pretty bad when a lot of teams are banning that against Peter for so long. It was a pick he was so good on. Then going for the Poppy, so really hammering away at Keria's pool. Going in with a bit of a strategy on this one. If they ban the Bard third, it'd be a pretty crazy strat, but we'll see what they opted to go for here. Maybe trying to push him onto a specific pick.
Yeah, they're going to ban the Wukong instead, and I think that's fine. I mean, you don't generally want to pick your support in the first 3 anyway. Keria has done it a couple of times just to get it out there, to make sure it's not banned in the second phase, but don't necessarily have to do it, especially when there's so much power left available.
So some of the big picks are left available. Talia, Master for BDD, Pantheon now taken away. Rumble, Aurora, both big picks. I am very concerned if they let Doran potentially get the Aurora and you pick Rumble. Rumble is one of Perfect's better picks, but we've seen the Aurora matchup can be really punishing. I will say the changes to Rumble did make the matchup better. Not to say it made it good. You can still get dumpstered, but the thing, they made it so when you, even if you tag them lightly with a flame spitter, they burn for an extra half a second. It made playing in a ranged matchup a bit more bearable. But now T1 can just take the Talia if they want. They can take the Aurora if they want. They could just take a jungle. They are looking at the Xin Zhao. Do they just go Xin Zhao Gwen? We saw that earlier. I do think the Gwen is a weaker matchup than the Aurora into the Rumble. It's more favored towards the Rumble. So we'll see what they have to go for here.
I'd like to see the Aurora. You don't have to pick it here, although it could be taken away into the mid lane by BDD if they really wanted to. It's going to be Faker's Orianna. It's been a go-to for a lot of players, actually, but Faker as well. Thinking about the Trundle.
Yeah, I think Trundle Talia could be the go-to for KT in this situation. A lot of control from these picks, a lot of slows. Really difficult for Xin Zhao. You know, the Trundle, I feel like a big reason he came in the meta was because does well specifically into Xin Zhao and a lot of these AD-based junglers. Can obviously chomp away the AD, but particularly with the Talia as well, not so much of a fun time. And it is just going to be the Aurora on 3. As you correctly pointed out, there was no pressure to take it there, as it seemed unlikely they were going to take it in mid when Talia was open.
Yeah. So
they've secured a good matchup for Doran in the top lane. And when I said one of my big concerns was that top lane matchup, Perfect's already fighting an uphill battle in the matchup. He's now fighting an uphill battle in terms of the champions picked in the matchup. Bard ban comes through. Not a big surprise.
Makes sense. Immediately cameras on Keria, who's like, well, I guess I'm going to have to pull out one of my other 18 champions that I play.
Problem is,
unfortunate.
Varus and Jhin haven't had a look in yet. So Guma is pretty fine with those.
Yeah.
He has 2 great options in that regard.
They ban Varus, you pick Jhin. If they leave both up, you probably pick Varus.
So they ban the Varus. So probably just going to be a Jhin here, especially with a Sivir gone. Sivir was... Actually, no, Sivir was more picked into Varus than to Jhin. But yeah, I think just a Jhin pickup for Guma makes a lot of sense in this situation. And then for Dokdam, there's too much AP, so you can't really go something like a Ziggs. Probably just the Corki, I think, makes the most sense in this situation.
Or in a Phelios angle.
This is not a good Phelios angle.
I know, it's just Dokdam, so I was hoping maybe he'll play it in game 2. But yeah, Corki makes a lot of sense.
The question is, what do you pair it with in this situation? It's going to go for Leona. Decent amount of setup with that. And we'll just get the Rakan from Keria. I feel like the Rise group, I feel like their drafts are a lot more chaotic.
Yeah. See if they can manage an upset up against T1 in the Telecom War.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
I think that's the thing though, is a lot of the times coming into the game 1 I've said, you know, T1 have gotten so much, they've gotten so many picks that like, feels like, how have you let them get this, but there's too many to prevent. I think, to be honest, KT have navigated this pretty okay. I think the big thing I would want to emphasize here is that jungle mid support of the Leona, Taliyah, Trundle. Specifically, I talked about it into the Zinzao, but also into Rakan. You know, Rakan into Taliyah feels really bad. Leona also into Rakan. It's less so now. It used to be like one of the counters into him. I feel like the lane matchup is very playable. And also you can go cleanse later with Spellbook. But if you get locked down in a skirmish and you get full comboed by Taliyah, you're just going to get exploded. So I think if KT play around that skirmishing power early on, that's where they can really find some strength.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to look towards as Perfect here on a ward. Doran getting ready to try to stomp this lane. See if he can do that. Nice start here. Obviously, the Rumble as a melee champ into Aurora. Never going to have a fun time.
That's the thing. We've seen so many shades of this matchup. I think the one I really remember was when Keen, I've forgotten who he played it into, but he was just annihilating. It might have actually been into Perfect, if I'm being honest.
Oh boy, little tempo heal has to come out here. Duck Dom doing a lot of damage to Guma. So they want to try to turn it around, but did look like Guma and Keria kind of got caught out there.
Yeah, good capitalization on the reloading of the Jhin.
We keep zooming in on Perfect here. Is there something that is going on? Guma in a lot of trouble, has to flash early here. Not respecting level 2, not the first time that Guma and Keria have done that.
Good moves from Duckdown and Peter, matching up well into Guma and Keria already in this early lane matchup. I think one of the things as well with Rakan is that if you start to fall behind, especially like in these level 1, level 2 fights, the grand entrance is so telegraphed. It's like the easiest ability to flash in the game. So it's very hard to peel defensively with it. If like Duckdown Valkyrie's forward to go for the kill and you W him, he's flashing over and finishing the kill off. So Guma has to flash away defensively. Level 2 just wasn't fully respected. And it's a good start there. Top lane not going, honestly, too badly, I would say, for Perfect so far. He's fallen down a bit in terms of farm, but that's expected. He's not taking too much damage, though, is the main thing.
Yeah. He's hanging out. He's doing a good job trading. He's still got 2 potions. He's totally fine. Bottom lane, definitely the biggest issue for T1. KT doing a great job of coming in here and actually looking to zone Guma off of the wave and actually proxy a little bit 2v3, or rather 3v2, I should say.
Yeah, they've got to expect that Cuz is on the bot side. You know, Oner's pathed up towards top to try and play towards his strong lane. But this has meant that Guma just can't walk up. This is a super heavy punish. And now, using that Deadly Flourish to pick up the minion, they know exactly where he is. I'm not saying it was the wrong decision to do that. Obviously, you can now walk up with the minion wave dying out, but he missed so much there. Look at the farm advantage. And the back comes in. So good for KT. Really well played. Just like leaning on the pressure that they have Cuz on the bot side, and they know where Oner is, and really punishing the advantages they have in the top lane, and bot lane, sorry. And we look top, and Perfect's doing pretty well. You know, I was talking about how this matchup has gotten better for Rumble. It's looking a lot better. And also credit to Perfect for playing it out pretty well.
Yeah. Doran got a little bit too close to the Rumble when he was in that sweet spot in terms of his heat. And so Doran took a pretty poor trade, and so he's got to go for a back here. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Faker looks like he is also taking some rough trades. BDD has knocked him back at least 3 times that I've seen. So things are going pretty well for the Taliyah. That one's going to miss. Also a missed cannon.
Yeah, unlucky. But overall, I think KT's super happy. You know, top lane, bit behind in farm, but if that's all the only sort of hit, and now actually they're looking for a play mid onto Faker. Peter has flash.
Yeah, they're going to go in onto this one, but this is underneath the turret. He takes 2 turret shots. And yeah, Peter's just dead. They're going to give that kill over to Faker. Faker says, you know, my flash for your life, I'll take that.
This is one of these situations where specifically the Zenith Blade, once it connects, you're kind of locked onto them. It's very hindsighty, but I think the correct play would have just been to let BDD go for the seismic shove, and you be there. And Faker would have flashed it no matter what. You get the flash, cool, successful play, you then return for the next gank. I think because he went for the E, sets up for something like that to happen, and you've just given a delivery package over to Faker, who's very happy to accept that.
Yeah, feels amazing for him, as now going to drop a couple of ults. Doran is getting out-traded in this one. Perfect, doing a fantastic job so far in this matchup. As now Duckdom, he's got this idea that Keria doesn't exist. He's like, okay, you can try to grand entrance me, you can try to hit me with stuff. Doesn't matter, I'm just attacking Guma.
Yeah, so I think here, the threat of the play and the seismic shove, I think Faker was going to flash anyway. Because if the seismic shove comes through, and then the pillar afterwards, you were always just going to flash the seismic shove that BDD had placed well. So I think the Zenith Blade, it just sets up the potential of this happening.
Yeah.
Again, it's a bit hindsighty, but you know that's our job here as casters to kind of hindsight the play. But Faker flashing at the perfect time to capitalize there.
Yeah. Things hadn't exactly been going super well for him. I mean, it's not like he was falling behind that much, but going on in is Keria this time around, going to take a big burst of damage. So we'll duck down just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Khan is you have a good amount of sustain, and the Valkyrie is actually very expensive in terms of mana, so I don't hate him just looking for these little windows. And also, if Duckdown makes a mistake, you get a big punish. You can see Duckdown's mana is running pretty low, and Keria just, it's one of these things, you know, he has biscuits in the inventory, but also just with landing Qs, you're just going to have that mana available, health available, sorry. Game's still feeling very even, but I think, like, you look at top lane, the fact it's even in farm. And I'm wondering, obviously, credit to Perfect for playing it well, but also how much of it is down to the changes, because we haven't seen, teams have been very often just banning Aurora and not wanting to play the matchup when they're looking for the Rumble. But I wonder how many times we're going to start seeing this where, okay, the Rumble changes actually made the matchup a lot more playable.
Yeah, just need a bit more data. Need some more games to see what the matchup looks like here at the pro level to truly understand. The game is relatively even. Like, yeah, the first blood did go over to Faker, but, you know, just about 400 gold to lead because of that. Bottom lane, obviously, the CS diff is pretty big, but as we know here in Legend Group, trying to bait here, I believe, is Faker, but he's taking a lot of damage as now Shockwave does come in. Flash from Cuz. He wants that kill. He's not going to get it, though, as the peel comes through from Keria. But here comes the wall, and now Faker's in a ton of trouble. BDD takes him down. A very nicely timed wall to just get in, make sure he secures the kill.
Yeah, good wall there from BDD, good capitalization on the lack of flash from Faker, and this is kind of what I was talking about, that mid-jungle support trio from KT, a lot stronger in the skirmishes in comparison. Oner and Keria are trying to save their teammate, just not able really to do anything.
All right, here we go again, Guma. Just gonna avoid the harpoon, avoids another one. Nice stepping there from him, but at the same time, kind of annoying to get that low.
Yeah. Good moves though. Definitely seen situations where the AD carry going up against a Rumble in the side lane has just died. Able to survive it there. And despite the kill, KT not going to opt to contest the grubs. A lot invested to get that kill onto Faker, and BDD having no mana, be able to really hang around.
Doran should know that Peter's here. And Peter shows himself, so that's quite obvious. 3 grubs to T1. The first Drake will go to KT. But yeah, the rules of Legend Group are very different from the rules of Rise Group. We already saw the Rise Group matchup. It's chaos. It's all over the place. You never know what to expect. In Legend Group, I feel like oftentimes very calculated, and especially the first couple of team fights can just decide the game because the teams are so clean with what they do with their leads. So something to look out for. Faker is just taking insane amounts of damage. He's going to avoid those rocks, but actually knocks BDD farther in. Gets the shield, though, is outstepping everything, but eventually BDD just outplays him. He got that first bit of burst damage, and although BDD did miss quite a lot, he was still able to finish off the kill.
Faker's flash came up literally 2 seconds ago from now. It just came up. So, you know, that was super close, but BDD still had flash advantage, didn't have to use it in the end. Faker was also waiting for Shockwave when that play started, so he was at an absolute disadvantage going into that. But it looked scary because there was a moment where, you know, things didn't start to connect. That initial play was really big. Then Faker started to find an angle. He's sidestepping. The Shockwave moves into the side. He sidesteps again. This is when it starts to get a bit scary. But again, his flash is just not available. And that flash still being available for BDD means you can't always flash to get that final bit of damage. So good play there from BDD. Faker doing his best to try and turn it around, but was unable to do it.
Pretty interesting to see him doing the escape spam, by the way. You saw him like hitting escape and like the keybinds were coming up and stuff in the middle of that fight. Just keeping his hands warm.
Oh, he just had flash.
Yeah, ghost in from Peter. Very scary. Now we got a Talia from the top side, but oh, he's not gonna flash. It just takes a ton of damage, and now Faker's just dead. Elects to save his flash, and that's gonna give yet another kill over to BDD, who is 3-0.
I think it might have been the right decision not to flash because Peter still had his flash. He ghosted instead of his heal. So I think his thought process was if he flashes, he just... But then again, if he flashed the seismic shove, I don't know. Hard
I think if you flash both, I think you're just...
I want to see the replay before I fully comment on it. But I'm assuming the thought process was maybe if he'd die anyway with if he flashed. But definitely died in that situation.
Yeah. Well, trying to clear the wave here is Doran, but he's just so incredibly low. Still not going to be able to dive, though. See, the pillar comes through, but he just jumps over it. Maybe looking for something here in mid. BDD's got his wall. Just looking at collapse onto a fight if it does break out.
Trying to get the vision set up. BD now being 3-0 on this Talia with a 20 CS lead as well is so strong. Any fights he can be at as a Talia, you're going to be in a lot of fights because you're so good at joining them. He's going to be such a threat. He's kind of in a bit of a power trough, you know, in terms of the items, because you obviously got the Archangels first, which he has to stack. Oh, again.
Yeah, again, and guess who's here again? Well, it is Peter on the way. He does have flash this time, and he is going to flash. He avoids the solar flare, and now the shockwave comes in, trying to turn this one around. Faker maybe has baited them in, and I don't think they have the damage. Peter also with the sums, just going to be able to flash out of that one. And even scared of a dive as T1 just run away.
Yeah. Well, definitely would have died without flash that time. But he's being targeted pretty heavily and struggling right now into BDD, but also into Peter, who is just has it out for him. T1 trying to protect him as best he can, but it's such an uncomfortable position when you try to protect someone, but when you group up with them, you're in a weaker core than the enemy team. You know, like Oner and Keria are trying to protect Faker, but if Cuz and Peter are also there, then that 3v3 is losing. And it just doesn't feel super positive.
Yeah.
1,100 gold lead now for BDD. And he can just match up in a Doran as well.
Yeah, he definitely can. I mean, he is the strongest guy on the Rift at this point in time. 5,700 gold, so even though he is in that little power trough you mentioned, this Talia probably going to pop off in this game. As long as he doesn't do anything crazy. We have seen some games where BDD can solo carry on Talia, but also ones where he can kind of
That's one of the things when you have items like Archangels or Rod of Ages and you're fed. Once the item completion comes in, it feels so good. It's like such a payoff of that investment, and you just become extremely powerful. He is almost got that Seraph stacked up, and we'll get that extra AP.
Just kind of waiting this one out in this early game. Not quite the chaos we had from the Rise group. Keria is going to cleanse and dash over to his brother Oner. And Guma's been kind of threatened by this Corki every single time he's been trying to step up. Duckdom, anytime he sees Guma, is like, okay, I kill.
Yeah.
I go kill.
Poke negated that by the redemption.
Look, I mean, he sees Guma, he goes kill.
Oh.
That's what he does. Guma doesn't get to play the game. We got a Hextech Soul on the way. Double Dragon here for KT to start off. It's now perfect. It looks like he might be a little bit of trouble, but we have some help from the team is coming up here. We even have a TP as well from the side of T1, and they will secure this kill. Saw the rotation was coming in from Peter and from Duckdom, even BDD as well, but not able to get there on time.
Yep, and KT just cut him loose. They did move over there, but they accept that he's gone. Faker very patient with the shockwave because he didn't want him to be able to potentially TP out. Oh, not again.
He just keeps hitting those. BDD just cannot miss today. But there's a lot of minions here. It's going to be kind of cleaned up. Faker gets a shield. One more rock could do it, but Keria comes in and saves him with the heal. And Faker is just running circles around him now, but has been terrorized for the entire game. Finally gets his revenge. With the help of his team, is now trying to deny the eye, but it is going to be KT that get in, take it away, and pick up the eye.
That's got to feel good for Faker. Finding the turnaround, the support coming in from Keria, give him some help, and BDD, that big rock, there was that critical big rock he could have thrown onto Faker that he missed. And I think, you know, we saw that play before where he had the flash advantage and he didn't use it. Trying to save it again here, I think backfired, because I think if he flashed to hit the boulder, it's this one here that comes in a second. This boulder, if he'd flashed to hit that, I think he's just dead. But he waited till after, then realized, oh, maybe I have to flash here, and then it was too late.
Fans are going crazy. We can't even see what's on the signs. Not important. This was the afterplay, though, where Oner kind of gets zoned away.
Yeah, Guma's kind of in an uncomfortable spot in the pit, but then he can ult to provide the cannon push. But T1 just trying to evade. They kill Peter. They get out. They lose the Herald, which is a bit unfortunate. But a good amount of gold taken by T1 here, considering they're on a bit of the back foot earlier in this game.
Yeah, KT trying to set up another fight here. They're down 1,000 gold. They don't want to go too deep, though. You could see they don't get that initial pick. Now it's just a bit of a scrum. Here comes BDD getting on in. A massive knockback again. This guy just can't miss today, but Oner, another guy who can't seem to miss nowadays, is going to frontline for the team. Duckdom just has to stand and fire, and he will survive for quite a long time as one more shot gets it done from Guma, but he will pay with his life. Meanwhile, on the right side, T1 win that part of the fight. BDD still alive, but they would love to take out this Talia, and they finally do it. The burst comes out from Faker, and it will be T1 winning this fight in a massive fashion, 1 for 4.
Just such good execution there from T1. It feels like a couple of things missed from KT, and immediately they're on the back foot. Immediately they're recognizing this isn't the fight they want, but they're just not given the window to back away, not given the window to get out again. I think the back and forth, the balancing of HP here from T1 was really just excellent. So the initial play comes out. They're trying to look for a target here. It's T1 who start with some poke from Peter. They disengage. The ult just doesn't quite connect. They don't land the Zenith Blade. There was a blast gun there as well. They start to back off. And suddenly, they start to realize they might be in trouble. BDD comes in. They get some burst on the Keria, but he flashes. It was a great flash to get out. And then Peter goes in a bit too deep. Dockdown starts to get in trouble. BDD's doing tons of damage here. But it's so hard. There's so many low HP targets he's trying to hit.
It's like BDD versus the world yet again. This was Doran, you know, gets in, gets the kill.
Dodges our seismic shove was so big. And the fact that he was here before Perfect on the Rumble, the ult as well, finding a great angle.
That's some Aurora gameplay if I've ever seen it. Goes deep, gets the kill, nearly dies, goes in Viz, dodges, gets out with the ult. Crazy stuff. Looks like we did have a little bit of a skirmish down on the bottom side. And guess who's being targeted again? BDD gets in, but this time the flash is available for Faker, and he's going to use it aggressively to try to set up this kill. One more auto will do it. You see, Keria didn't want to take it, but he will in the end. And now they just keep on going for Faker. It's not nearly as successful as it was in the early game, and they're getting punished for it. KT, I feel like they're being pulled into T1's game, and it's not looking good for them.
Just keep him there.
Yeah.
Where's he going to go?
You don't need to kill him. You can just delay the back until the dragon spawns. Meanwhile, Duckdom just dying.
Yeah, Peter realizes
Caught out.
He's being kept there, so he runs into the tower. Faker does kill him, but now look at the timing on the Arakan. Up in 3 seconds. The dragon is also spawning, so you can see pings coming out from KT towards that. It would be third towards the soul, but it's just towards the soul. It's not the soul itself. And I don't think T1's ever going to give you an opportunity to translate into that soul. Picking up the Arakan now, and KT aren't even looking to contest this. They're looking to grab the dragon. Their hope is that if they get a comeback fight, if they get soul, that's enough to win the game. But 4,000 gold down and losing Arakan here is such a bad spot to be in.
Yeah. Just feels like a consolation prize, even though it's a very good one, as here's the replay again.
This flash was so good from Fake here. And we're seeing the value again of the redemption. the heal comes in for Faker, and it just means, like, what are you supposed to do? That extra burst of HP in these skirmishes is so valuable. We've seen Redemption Rush so often, but Keria has it here, and Peter has opted not to go for it. Yeah, this was a bit of a...
You got teleported on by Rakan. It's like, what is she gonna do?
Yeah, I think he was going for the Herald to escape.
Yeah.
A bit unfortunate. Oh, might have found Faker.
Hey, nice shockwave, but he is in a lot of trouble. BDD gets in again, and BDD is relentless. He's like, okay, didn't work a couple of times, I'm going in again. He's got 5 kills. The only person on the team who has kills is BDD. Looking for more. You see T1 always looking to skirmish. That's going to be the Aurora all down. Gets in, gets out, straight into the arms of the Corki.
Okay, this is big. Oh,
wait, no, he's going the wrong way. And, well, yeah, he's just dead.
He messed up the portal there. I think maybe took
yeah.
some damage, or I don't know specifically what he did, but obviously he did not do what he hoped to. Oner and Keria a bit overextended here.
Yeah, they also took the portal not the correct way. This time, Keria's going to get out.
So something I was going to say is that giving those 3 dragons the 3rd dragon over in trade for the Arakan is the sort of risk that we see backfire a lot in the Rise group. Because that amount of gold lead plus the Arakan, big advantage that you should be able to translate into a win as a disciplined Legend team. But then T1 go and do this, and now I am very concerned because 1 away from Hextech Soul, and you've just thrown away a lot of that lead you had. They lose Faker, and yet they still opt into the fight. Doran goes super aggressive here, and Peter manages to land the CC because he goes between worlds, goes again, but he still gets stunned. Doctum's waiting for him. What happened with Doctum here, though?
We'll never know. It's a mystery. Meanwhile, Peter getting caught out on the top side, trying to save himself. Was it a bait from Peter all along? BDD's got a great angle here on the left side. And he's just going to push them away from his support.
T1 are only 600 gold up. They were, before, when they took the Arakan, they were 4,000 gold up.
Yeah. It's really anybody's game from here.
Which is such a bad spot to be in, considering KT are 1 dragon away from Soul.
Yeah. KT certainly have the edge. There was the Otacon that was taken by T1. I feel like, you know, it might just come down to the fight for the Soul, but...
Yeah.
You know, that's not going to be the end of the game because T1 aren't ahead enough, even if they did win the fight. And KT, if they win the fight, maybe that is the end of the game.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the case for every subsequent dragon that we do have in this game.
Like, obviously, the Arakan stats are nice. The XP is a factor, but we're seeing across the board levels are pretty close regardless. And also, Feats of Strength did go over to KT, so they have that edge. We also see Doctum does get that second item, big spike for the Corki. The game is in a delicate spot. I feel like after they got that fight win into the Arakan, T1, and I think a lot of people watching were like, okay, let's look towards game 2. And I think maybe T1 bought into that a bit too much.
Yeah, gonna have to go between worlds here. Pillar comes down.
Yeah, a little bit off with the pillar there. But to be fair, Doran probably still just able to walk it off considering it was just the Trundle.
Yeah.
1 minute 45 until that dragon spawns, and you can see T1 have such good control over the area. We've got Jin traps, we've got wards, because they don't want it to be a flip. You absolutely don't want to flip this in any way. Something I will say, though, is that Baron is spawning in 40, and KT can just trade. You know, one dragon for a Baron. T1 getting 1 dragon is kind of whatever, but KT getting the Baron is obviously a big boon, so that's when it starts to become really uncomfortable. This is why having Soul Point is such a problem, because it puts you in these uncomfortable decisions where you have to make those choices, those trades. If you have a huge lead, it doesn't matter because you just control the whole map. But it's hard to control the whole map when you're only 600 gold up.
See the most damage in the game done by our 2 mid laners. Not a big surprise, as they have been the ones butting heads over and over again. If,
you know, BDD would have done way more damage if Seismic Shove did damage. You've seen him hit a lot of those.
He's only missed like 2 on screen or something ridiculous. So it's been kind of insane.
But also credit to Faker, considering, you know, he had a rough start of the game. He was targeted heavily and really come back into it with some nice outplays on a BDD in particular. Both these mid laners making sure their presence is known in this game.
Yeah, just trying to make the most of a rough situation. And now he's got the Banshee's Veil components.
So T1 have done a decent job of spreading a little bit of vision towards the Baron, you can see. while still trying to maintain control over the Dragon area. We still see some wards snuck in about KT, but it's generally centered around mid, and they're threatening moves towards the Baron right now. Perfect's on a bit of a flank.
Yeah, definitely looking for a good angle here. He's going to take a bunch of damage, though. Has to flash away. Nearly gets rooted down.
He does have TP, so he can reset and TP back in with health, but it's still not good to have lost your flash there. Cuz also taking a lot of damage.
Yeah. That Trundle, I mean, for him to be a true part of this fight, the wall was also used, by the way.
Yeah, a bit of a weird wall there. Felt like it was trying to split off the carries from the rest of the team, but it just times out. Now they have to rush in. The Dragon's just gone.
Yeah, T1 just get it. Now they're like, well, if you want to fight, we're down now.
They kind of just traded Dragon for mid pressure, but it's not really going to amount to stuff. Because if you head over to the Baron now, they will fight you on it.
Yeah.
And especially with a Jhin and Aurora, so risky to be in that Baron pit. And the thing is, T1 have a couple of wards in the area. They don't have any on the Dragon pit, the Baron pit, sorry, itself. And you do see them actually getting swooped out.
Yeah.
Like, Cuz is on a ward, he just walked over a ward. So in the end, Dragon taken by T1, and KT get nothing for it. In fact, they're burning a TP to get out.
They're trying desperately to find all the members of KT that were trying to get out, and the TP utilized by BDD.
I think T1 just doing a fantastic job of controlling. I said it's really hard to control the whole map with only a 600 gold lead. I think they did a pretty good attempt at it, and able to pick up that Dragon essentially for free when it could have been a really precarious spot to be in. Buys them time before that Soul is a threat again. And now they can start to play around Baron without that looming threat, without that uneven trade where one team can get Soul and you can only get a single Dragon.
Now trying to posture around this top river. You can see there's not a lot of vision here for T1. It's actually mostly controlled by KT. But now going on in, Cuz once again it's going to take that damage. Shockwave does come through. Oner getting low, but he shins out. The equalizer doesn't do a whole lot. It's going to do a decent amount of damage to Faker on the backside of that as he kind of just stood on it. It's Peter taking every shot to the face. Nobody's stepping up and taking them. Here comes Doran, kind of just running at them, gets stunned up. Mid-dash, does a lot to BDD as this game is really on a knife's edge.
Some low health bars there. A lot of dangerous action going on. Ultimately, Guma's summoners being down, I think, is a major big casualty there. Peter got very close, but the locket does save him. A little bit concerning those situations, especially since Keria has redemption, but it wasn't up there, so they don't just heal up off that. Oh, that's sneaky.
Yeah.
But it feels like they're posturing, they're trying to find advantages, they're trying to find a lead, kills that can lead into that Baron, or even just summoners. KT, getting those summoners of Guma is pretty big. So I'd say they'll got the edge of that last one, but it's still not very meaningful overall. And the teams move back out onto the map to try and set up once again. That Jhin is just such a threat. It's so hard to disengage from the fight on low health bars against it. It's down for a little bit longer though.
You see, this is all about the vision clearing game at this point. Trying to keep pressure in mid is T1. Feels like, you know, this is a very close game, but it almost does feel like the tempo vibes are like in favor of T1. You know, they have just so much more pressure on the map, and KT kind of got set on the back foot after a couple of fights that weren't very conclusive, but it didn't look great for KT, so that's why the vibes are kind of just not right in the right spot for them.
Yeah, definitely feels like a lot more control in favor of T1. We saw that in the previous Dragon. The setup was a lot more in their favor. I don't think KT need to find a window to try and deny some of this vision established on their own. But you see Doran pushing up in the bot lane, so BDD will answer. And Cuz is moving around now to try and sweep up a bit of vision. But you see he's disconnected from Peter. Peter's on the other side of the map, so on the other side, Keria and Oner moving together. A bit of a difference there. And a lot of the vision that KT are getting around this Baron area is quite shallow. Easy to clear out. You see Faker's clearing a control ward there. Keria's just used his sweeper. And if you look in that Baron area, it's just all red. And now, at the moment, Peter's getting vision towards the Dragon, but it's very limited. He's got a couple of wards left. And sure, in a minute the Dragon's up, so T1 will start to shift over there. I think it's also like when your wards get spotted when they're placed, it feels really bad. Like notice that ward that got placed down there, Peter spotted it, gets pinged. Keria puts down 2 wards that don't get spotted. And so you see those two that just showed up in the river next to the dragon. Will they get swept is a big question.
Yeah.
Whereas you know someone's going to control ward next to that ward on screen and clear it out pretty soon. Okay, they will find them. That's good.
They found one.
Well, they found one.
Ooh.
You're so close. You're so close.
Oh, Peter.
And that is Piff. That's exactly what you want. Like, the banana rush is such an obvious spot,
Yeah.
but the other spot isn't. And that control ward comes in as we expect. So now...
And he just backed and got more wards.
Yeah, Keria... Oh. I think someone's scrying all of that ward, actually. Just there.
Oh. Yeah, I saw some pings going down over there. Not sure if it looks like they weren't able to clear it, though, as Pillar comes down, Doran gets out. But there you go, another shove comes in from the side of BDD. This guy just can't miss today. He's really on his game up against T1. And he's a big reason why they're in this game.
Okay, they've played out the vision well. This is really good for that comp. Keria is looking for a flank, though.
All right, trying to go all in on a Faker. It's not quite going to work out. BDD trying to turn now onto the left side, going to take out Guma, and they will take that absolutely. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of this fight, it looks like Cuz is in a bit of trouble. He'll be taken out, and Faker wasting a lot of Perfect's time as the rest of the backline is just being torn to shreds by the rest of T1. And look at Oner, level 16, red buff, Xin Dao full health, and Doran as well, very similar. As T1 will win that fight.
Yeah, Perfect and BDD do have TP, so if they can reset TP back in, they might be able to force Oner off, but he's the one with Smite. He's already started up the dragon.
Okay, with the TP you mentioned, it's a very fast Rumble getting on in there. And Oner actually is going to back away. Doesn't want to die just yet. He's going to keep it leashed, though. Here comes BDD. He's the only one with Smite. They've just got to do the damage to it as the Smites do come down. And a big fight coming in, actually, as down will go the Rumble. Oner in a bit of trouble. And now Doran just trying to hop away. Duck Dom bleeding and gets taken out by the Aurora.
Such a clutch play from T1. They get the dragon. They trade evenly in those kills on the back end. So now, not sure if they'll be able to do the Baron. They have a lot of damage from BDD with no AD carry. That could have been Baron. If they managed to clean up all those kills, could have just taken it. But here, super aggressive from Dr. They look here for Guma, and Peter finds the ult. Remember, he has no summoners, so he just goes down. But Cuz oversteps here. Flashes for Doran. There was no need for this play. If Cuz lives, this is such a different scenario. So I think that was a massive misplay from him. His team was winning the fight on the top side, and his overstep there, I think, was really costly. So a bit of an error there from the KT jungler.
Yeah.
And now T1, 2 dragons in pocket. The gold's still very even.
It also took forever for KT to kill Faker. You know,
Yeah.
like they killed Guma so quickly. As here's the fight afterwards.
Yeah, so again, the Xin Zhao just has so much power, so much value in these skirmishes. The healing that comes through, Keria providing some extra help as well. The power that's in this guy, the 529, 303, there's such big healing every time. And then the burns
Crazy.
from Doran to finish off Duckdam. And it's so big they got the AD carry because Cuz was coming back on the map. The AD carry was alive. They just take Baron.
Yeah.
And it's just these little things, these tiny minor things, like Cuz flashing in too aggressively, Doran killing Duckdam, that really could have turned this game in KT's favor. And now T1, they've had the pressure, they've had the control, they have those 2 dragons in pocket, and you can tell KT are starting to get a bit nervous.
It's a pretty tense game to both sides. Like T1 easily could have lost that last fight if things had gone slightly better for KT. If some of those little minor things you're talking about go the way of KT.
I mean, that's something to credit for KT is that, you know, recently it has been very one-sided in Telecom 1. This has been close. Oh, the shove.
Oh, here we go again. And yeah, he's just going to throw out his ult.
I mean, it's good to pick it up, and it's good they don't overcommit into it when it's obviously going to negate all the follow-up, but still a good tool to get. But yeah, I mean, so many recent KT into T1 matchups, so many Telecom wars have been very one-sided, and this game 1 at least has been a nail-biter.
Oh, looking for Peter, actually. They're going to go for any target, says Faker. That's a relatively low cooldown on the Shockwave, but now it's down at the moment, so KT, what will they do with this moment?
Yeah, a lot of prodding and poking, but I think the fact that they've lost the Xin Zhao and the Orianna ultimate is a big hit. Yeah, Pillar doesn't really work against Aurora.
Yeah, maybe if the timing is like absolutely perfect right after she jumps, but
it just feels so tense still. Like the teams are trying to get set up, but no one's really ready to commit onto the Baron. 2 minutes till that dragon.
yeah, looks like T1 have been backed up a little bit. KT have done a good job of challenging
So many summoners were beaten in the last fight. Oh,
they want to go in. The Kale's available. Definitely a very huge second item pickup for Keria, by the way.
massive value there to save his top laner. That's the thing, you know, obviously Cleanse, great into Leona, but it's only for your AD carry. The Mikhail's saving Doran there. As I was saying, a lot of summoners were beaten in the last fight, but Guma does have his up and available. Faker's Flash coming up soon. Docdam's Flash still down for quite a while, you can see. And now T1 starting to feel confident. They've been the Leona ultimate, they've been the Equalizer as well, and they are moving towards the Baron. T1 a lot less afraid of starting up a Baron, we know that for sure.
Feels like it's definitely a risk up against the Rumble. And the Taliyah as well, who can close the distance and really cut off the team. Keria going to be interrupted. Grand exits out of that one. But yeah, T1 never fully committing to the Baron. They can start it and then turn if they'd like, which it seems is the idea. Wall is going to come down. They're looking for Guma here. He doesn't want to use his cleanse. He'll hold on to that. As he says, that's not a big enough threat. I'm just going to save my summoner.
I swear so many times, you just see an AD carry cleanse on instinct to get hit by any CC at any situation.
Yeah.
So the fact that he just holds it there, he's like, they're not going to kill me. There's no
Stone
follow-up.
cold.
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% the correct play, but I've literally seen like people get hit by something, they're under tower, there's no threat, they're like, oh, CC, got a cleanse.
Yeah.
So I respect the restraint. Now the dragon is spawned up in 15, well, it's spawning in 15 seconds, and it is once again changed the dynamic. Teams leaning away from the Baron again. It's sold for KT once more if they get it, but this is the last time where it won't be sold for T1.
Yeah.
Last time it's a misbalance between the two teams.
Feels like it's been this way for the last like 10-15 minutes. The same game where we're just like waiting on a tightrope, waiting for that next objective.
Oh,
the double jump comes in! BDD! He wants to carry this game, and he might have just done it, but the peel is coming in. Peter goes down, but they took out Oner, and he's really the big man on campus. Big shockwave does come down for Faker. He's going to flash away the kiting of Orianna, and Jin is quite strong. Oh, the interrupt from the side of Keria is nearly going to keep them alive. And it's at least going to peel for the team. Flashes on in, and it's not quite going to work as Keria takes huge amounts of damage. Ducked on one, big one, and the sniper from the side of KT will net them the Hextech Soul.
And that's the thing, it has been the same story for the last 10 minutes of KT being one away, not quite able to get that dragon, but this is what it takes. One big team fight, one big seismic shove from BDD, catches Doran, catches Omer, that's a signal to go. And then Peter follows up. They immediately take out the opposing top laner. Oner does manage to kill Peter for that one.
Baron as well.
And this chase is messy. You can see Faker trying to steal the picture-in-picture. It got a bit scrappy here when BDD went in. It got a little bit scary.
They almost stole, by the way. We should probably have that up on live.
But the pillar here to stop the Jingle, and then Docdam's big one to kill Keria was massive.
Oh.
But yeah, picture-in-picture, we saw Faker trying to steal, doesn't quite get it, and now Hextech Soul and Baron, we're finally seeing a sizable lead for a team. Not so much getting gold, but those objective advantages going to mean a lot for KT.
Do you feel like this is a game where if KT win, BDD automatically is just going to get POM regardless of what happens in the next couple of games?
I don't think so. I mean, that Lucid game we were talking about in the first series was like BDD's played really well, but also Docdam's played really well, you know? So if like Docdam had a crazy game 2, and let's say they won game 2 and Docdam had a crazy game 2 and BDD just played okay, then I could see people voting for him. But no, BDD's been insane.
I feel like BDD has been insanely good. Faker stuck between a wall and the other wall.
It has been very good. But there has been some moments, you know, the little outplays from Faker when he had some side steps for the solo kills. But definitely the main character in this game has been BDD. Right now with the Hextech Soul, feels so awkward, especially with the long-range poke from the Porky. Those slows. I mean, there's such a slowing comp when you have the Pillar, you have the Unraveled Earth, you have the Hextech Soul.
There are just so many of those abilities and advantages that they have that even though the gold doesn't look like it's huge, it just feels so oppressive when you're ahead, right?
Yep.
Everybody's slowed at all times. You're doing tons of extra damage with Hextech Soul. Everybody's going to really struggle to find engage angles. You know, like Keria's like, okay, I'm going to engage, guys. Wait, I'm walking at 25% of my speed, you know? Doesn't really make it easy for T1. And it gives incredible control over to KT. As they are taking their time with this one, that's going to be the Solar Flare right on top of Keria, but in goes Peter, and down will go Peter, but still at the same time, it's 2 kills here for the side of KT, and now Oner, nowhere for him to go. So hard to play into the Trundle, as another knockback does come through, and we do have the GA here for Oner, actually nearly kills BDD somehow. And now it's Faker's turn, he doesn't have the flash, Doran doesn't have his flash anymore, as he just used it. And it's just so difficult to get away from them. So many low health bars, actually. Incredibly low, but we have a TP coming back in. And I think with that and the Baron, they should be able to end.
Yeah, Doran not going to be able to do anything against 4 members of KT. He'll give it a go. Let's see if he can do what Shu didn't pull off the defense.
Yeah, I just think with Perfect TPing back in, it's going to be a little bit too little, too late. And there you go. Not even going to touch BDD. And they have the wave coming through. KT take down T1.